is just I think you can be borderline argumentative, argue for argument's sake in nature, and
Hold on. Let me read the rest of it. It says, some people would say that this podcast was inevitable or murder. Yeah, he wrote that down. It's right here.
yeah. Let's welcome our audience.
Dan is clever.
I'm using my handheld noisemaker, yes. I am Dan Mora, and this is my co-host, Frank Smithson.
Howdy.
So this is our episode 0. We decided that we needed to do an introduction to this series. Now, Frank and I have known each other for a long time, and so I thought that this was a good idea for a few reasons. We have pretty good banter. We come from different perspectives. We're both pretty honest with each other, and we have the same set of values. We both care about Gemini dearly,
for sure,
and we care about our industry dearly. The concept, though, I think we're going to be diving into is somewhat news related. We're going to talk about somewhat current events, what's going on in the industry. And then, we'll talk about things that kind of interest us here and there. Frank and I have spent a lot of time in the car. Probably a third of our interactions have been in the car. So, of course, we have a lot of personal alignment in what we do off work as well. So, Frank, why do you think this might be interesting, and what's your thoughts on the potential of this show?
I definitely think that we can keep it interesting if we're honest, and it's like a typical conversation that we have on the normal times, right? And I'm really interested in kind of communicating from a tech perspective, and then also someone that's been in the industry for 13-ish years, my views on all things workers' comp. So that'll be fun.
Cool. Well, what about me?
What about you? Oh yeah, I mean, I'm curious to hear where you're at too. If I have an opportunity to ask you some questions, it'd be nice to pull some information out of your mind.
Yeah. I think it'll be a fun back and forth. We want to do what's like a mailbag segment. As I'm envisioning 2 segments. One is a mailbag type of segment where we curate information from the audience. We'll have marketing, watch the social media channels and see if there's anything that pops up as a topic that we should be discussing. We go into the topic introduction and then a discussion, and then I envision the second segment basically being of what I call of note, quote unquote.
Okay.
And that would be something that I think is relevant and interesting, and then something that you think is relevant and interesting, and we can ping pong that, back and forth.
Cool. What about business topics too? Like, is that something like not necessarily specific to the work comp industry, but like lean type of content?
Oh man, heck yeah.
Any of that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm really excited actually to share, a lot of what we've learned from business.
Okay.
I think we'll end up talking a lot about our history. Not so much, this isn't necessarily about us, but I think people are interested. We'll interweave, all of our business concepts, I hope. If this goes on if this has legs, then we'll keep talking about any and everything. Maybe we'll run out of topics, but I highly doubt that.
From the very get-go, we met through Mayor's Case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the first cloud-based case management system in the work comp industry. So like, even if we are talking about us and our dynamic, I think any type of, all of our history will have relevance as long as we keep it focused to, our audience.
Yeah. Speaking of just personal history, how would you describe your journey at Gemini?
Oh, roller coaster.
Okay.
Yeah, they're super fun, right? But they definitely have ups and downs.
Sometimes scare the crap out of you.
We've had some rough times, but since we have had those, like, now it seems like everything is, I can take it with stride just because of having those ups and downs. So now it's kind of more like, a big climb to jump off the final cliff, which is like retirement, right? Like in a parachute, sailing down in a squirrel suit. How about that?
From your personal perspective.
Yeah, like I'm just getting up and pushing through and tackling a bunch of obstacles, making people happy and have fun along the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What was your introduction to this industry, and why did you think it was interesting?
So work comp initially was through Johnny Fury, who is the owner and founder of Mayor's Case Management System. I worked in the car industry before that. And for those of you who don't know, it's not a very fun industry. It's like the least ethical place that you can work. It's horrible. So finally, like, got enough enthusiasm to say no more of this, and then started working for Johnny. My daughter was 1 year old, and I was driving down to the Bay Area, sleeping on his couch in his 1-bedroom apartment in Berkeley, California. And I was the vice president of sales for that company, and it was fun. It was a good start. We had an opportunity to meet a lot of the attorneys. I was going out cold calling all of them, saying, hey, would you like a case management system? Which really at that time, all it did was populate e-forms. And that was it, paper-based e-forms. And I think when it really started getting fun actually was right around the time that we met, Dan, which was at the Squaw Valley CAW convention. That's where Michael Jackson passed away, right? So that gives you a little bit of timeline there.
It was 2009. I think it was June of 2009.
Okay.
I think.
Maybe. Yeah. Google it. So, yeah, at that point, like, I recognized that me, myself, and I was not able to, like, get into the market enough to be able to get Mayor's Case successful. So we started changing up our strategy, and I was looking at the different copy service providers who already had the sales force out there. And we were courting Dan, Robert from United, and Tom from Matrix. And I think MedLegal at that time was like not interested at all. So they were kind of a quick, nope, we're good. You do your own thing, which I think was a little bit of a downfall for them. But yeah, you fit the bill. You seem like the guy that had the focus that was really interesting. And that focus was like, we want to take care of the people, right? Ever since it's been, that focus has remained, which I think is why we're so successful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, industry-wise, like, it's not something that, are you passionate about work comp? Like, I would have never said that, but being in the industry and understanding all the people, it's the people that make it, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me quite a few years to find what I call passion for this type of work. At this point, though, I'm all in. This is awesome. The fact that we're dealing in truth, that's like our product. It's finding evidence, finding truth. I think that's just super cool. And then, injured workers, that also gets me up in the morning.
Definitely.
Along with other things, employees, and making sure that they're happy and have what they need to be personally successful. But injured workers is this system is super complex, and I wouldn't wish anybody to go through a work injury and have to go through this process.
No. Yeah, it's a role for me specifically where I can be highly creative, whether I was in sales, or where I'm at now on the product side of things. I could be completely creative, and the complexity is very high. Like, you're dealing with law, everything's always changing. And then at the same time, you can feel good about what you do, which is really nice.
Yeah, for sure. I put down here that this episode was supposed to be the show blueprint and the ground rules. I think we're talking about, first off, you and I and our experience in this industry. I'll say that why I think this is going to be successful is I have a high amount of respect for you and your intellect and your ethics and the way that you approach things. It comes from a completely different perspective of mine, which makes things obviously far more interesting. And then I think that what's fun about your communication and is challenging, I'll say quote unquote challenging, is just I think you can be borderline argumentative, argue for argument's sake in nature, and
Hold on. Let me read the rest of it. It says, some people would say that this podcast was inevitable or murder. Yeah, he wrote that down. It's right here.
Yeah. Well, there's no secret. I think if anybody spent any time with the two of us, knows there's some fireworks that happen. I think though what's cool about you and I one-on-one is that we know that we have that great amount of respect.
Sure.
And when there's two people in a room, you can allow the string of thought and the string of consciousness like go out to completion, so that we're not playing to we're not in an immediate situation where we have to correct those things
Sure.
immediately. So that when we say something that the other person doesn't necessarily agree with or wants to tweak, we can let that happen without it permeating into a meeting or what have you.
Yeah, we definitely have different conversations one-on-one than we do in a group. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that when we do have, I mean, obviously we've been very successful together one-on-one in several areas of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for that. So I think that we do have chemistry. Chemistry has has some violent reactions though. So my ground rule is just to stay calm and not get riled up by any of the triggers that we have between each other.
We'll see about that. Get an audience clap on your phone, Dan.
Okay, here we go. From your perspective, there we go, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. From your perspective, what are some things that you're, what are maybe some of your ground rules or some things that you're concerned about?
For like the communication in the podcast?
Yeah.
I think preparedness would be good.
Okay.
Having some type of topics just to allow me to like wrap my head around things. I think that will help tremendously if we come in. I typically have a style where like I'm kind of quick on my feet. That doesn't necessarily always translate to best practice communication, because I'm kind of like thinking out loud sometimes. But if I have an opportunity to prepare, then I can definitely, sharpen the axe before you cut down the tree type of thing.
Gotcha.
And I'm not too concerned that we'd have any type of like significant confrontation on something like this. That seems like it would be more in line of like, we're making decisions. We both have a lot of passion for the company. If the decision is one particular way that I disagree with, like that's one thing that I do. I'm not going to let you not know that I'm uncomfortable with it.
Sure.
Right. But I do have like once the decision is made, like whatever it is, whether it's with me or against me, like full commitment to see it through. And, not to say that I won't come back after getting new information, new knowledge and challenge those decisions again. But, so will those types of things be happening on this podcast? It would be very interesting.
Probably not. We probably
not,
won't be making any decisions on a podcast. More musing through the topics and maybe what could be.
For sure. Got to protect some of the trade secret stuff too, right?
Yeah, for sure. What are some topics technologically that you are excited to talk about?
In terms of tech, like talking about like case management would be interesting. Any of the systems that are out there, how law offices run, from those that are non-tech all the way to the ones that are like most state of the art. That would all be interesting. If anyone's ever interested in understanding some of like the stuff that I do behind the scenes in terms of like developing a product, I know there's some attorneys out there that have like homegrown case management systems and those types of things. So there's a lot of specific process behind making those great and keeping them efficient and effective and those types of things. And that's where right now I have a lot of experience, doing that for Gemini, and it seems to be pretty successful. So all of the above.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be relevant to clients in your sphere?
Let's see here. Relevant to clients in my sphere. I think the products themselves could be relevant, like in how they can improve, their efficiencies in their law office. And then even the business practice, attorneys typically, from what I've experienced, most go in with the idea that they want to practice law, but practicing business is a little bit different than practicing law. And both of us have been very fortunate early on with Jeff and Carrie as well, learning lean and then taking that and just running with it. Lean is plan A, there is no plan B. Mm-hmm. So any of that type of business communication, I think, would be good. That's not necessarily in the tech realm, but it bleeds into tech because
so
business is everything, right?
It's efficiency. That's really kind of, in my opinion, one of the magic pieces of technology is the efficiency multiplier that comes out of that.
People can be scared too with tech, right? Like security is always a big thing. So maybe I can have some opportunity to kind of give them my perspective on that and calm some fears, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm interested to talk about, I like big topics. Things that interest me are where is comp going? I just got forwarded an article that single payer medical is, what do they call that? What's the better term for that? Or universal medical, state-sponsored medical is coming back on the ballot possibly this year.
Okay.
And I'm curious how that's going to affect workers' compensation. And those are the type of topics I'm thinking about. Also, we may get a workers' compensation reform package this year. What is that going to look like? And then what is it going to look like, but what needs to be changed? What are the important global features of workers' compensation that are going to get tweaked? Utilization review, IMR.
Yeah, there's a bunch of waste in the system.
Yeah.
We could talk about some of the waste at the state too when it comes to tech, like Jetfiler and the entire system. Sorry if I'm offending anybody out there, but I have an opportunity to be in tech and try to learn what is the newest, greatest. And I've seen so many different systems, and I can tell you that the technology stack that they're working on is just,
it can improve.
Subpar. Yeah.
Definitely can improve. Yeah, we could talk all day about government waste, but we'll have to we'll have to be careful not to offend anybody. But if we do, sorry, we'll say sorry.
Yeah. They're doing the best that they can, and the systems right now has got them to a much better place.
That's
Imagine not
true.
having Jetfiler
Very
and then COVID hit, and you can't go into the courts and everything's paper-based. It would have been horrible. But with Jet, you can, I think it's 7 forms that you can file, right?
Yeah.
If you go to the civil market, for example, and you want to do electronic filing, you can electronic file every single form that they have, right? And so why hasn't that number changed, in the last 12 years, 11 years? That type of stuff is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Can we get a guest on between us?
Yeah.
Let's bring somebody from a Jetfiler over here.
Yeah, from the state.
Cool. I want to pick their brain, put them on the hot seat.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be fun. Bringing other subject matter experts to talk about where we're at in the industry. All right, man.
Awesome.
Thanks.